Hello everyone, how's everyone doing? You guys doing good too? I'm doing good too. Let's get today's video session. Here we go. Panasonic M2. Yeah! How do you guys like my rock and roll music? Let's do this today. So yeah, this is about the upcoming console from Panasonic. It's never released. Okay, so this originally the system he released was Panasonic 3DO FZ1, Panasonic 3DO FZ10. Now the next system is Panasonic M2, right? Which was a 64-bit games console. I don't know why they actually cancelled that. That's run away from the competition. It doesn't matter what people think or what was going on with the thing. They were just thinking that it was ahead of its time. And the pricing of it. You see, the original one had the same problem, and this one is no different. You see? And because of that, this system couldn't take off so well. So it never released. They were really scared of, because if you look at the original Panasonic 3DO, they had a strong competition against the Sony PlayStation. Okay? Then what was going through Panasonic M2? What competition was that going ahead against? It was Nintendo 64. Yeah, the Nintendo home console, Nintendo 64 we're talking about here. Now, the Panasonic M2 was a 64-bit, and the Nintendo 64 is 64-bit games console as well. I don't know what the consumers or customers were thinking. The Nintendo 64 wasn't even a great system. No, it's just the way it was made. Then why did it suffer from PlayStation? Have you thought about that? If you look at the original PlayStation, they actually beat it, the Nintendo 64. Now you gotta think of it. A Sony PlayStation 2, Sony PlayStation was a 32-bit games console. And the Nintendo 64 is already giving away, it's a 64-bit games console. Now why did it wasn't successful over the PlayStation? Do you know what the primary example was? What was Panasonic doing? Check this out. Sony PlayStation was a CD-ROM based system. Okay? It used discs. 4.7 ounce. No, not 4.7, sorry. It uses audio CDs, which were pretty big. Okay. Compared to Nintendo 64, Nintendo 64 was using cartridges. It was a cartridge-based system. Oh, blimey. And that is a primary reason it failed. But what about it? So what? It's cartridge. But in terms of Sega Mega Drive and Super Nintendo was more successful than Sega Mega Drive. Well, that's a story is different, isn't it? Because they're both cartridge-based systems. But here, PlayStation is CD system, cartridge. If you look at some of the action-adventure RPG games, on the Sony PlayStation, right, you'll get proper video cutscenes. And because of it had big data, the games will last you longer hours. Okay? Now, if you got cartridge doesn't have that much current memory, does it? It will produce not video cutscenes because it's cartridges, isn't it? It will give you like still images, like moving pictures one to another. It will do things like that, of that nature. And because of its small data, the games was small and they don't last very long. Because they're smaller, aren't they? They don't have much data. That is a primary reason. But not only that, the price was too high as well. For a cartridge-based system, cartridges is not the best way to go. I would say beyond 1995. It was better when we talk from 1990 to 1995, before that year, because 1995 was a year for Sega Saturn and Sony PlayStation, which was using CDs, which was a better technology anyway. But why was Panasonic doing stupid things like that? Because when the M2, let's just cover something about this. 64-bit, they're saying that. It's been said it wasn't powerful as Nintendo 64. That's making me laugh. So what? It's not powerful as that. Does it have to be powerful as that? Look what the Sonic PlayStation did. CDs versus cartridges. 32-bit versus 64-bit. That technology is halfway to the N64. Nintendo 64 versus 64-bit. PlayStation 32-bit. Now, we look at the Panasonic M2. Panasonic M2 is far more powerful than Sony PlayStation. But still, Panasonic M2 was a cutting-edge technology games console. Okay? Originally, Panasonic 3DO was a 32-bit system using CDs. Don't worry, there's nothing different here. Panasonic M2 was using CDs. Then why was Panasonic and 3DO companies scared of Nintendo 64? What reason? Are you mad or something? Yeah, your technology was still cutting edge. It was pretty powerful still. I would have thought that it wasn't powerful as that. It was still would be really, really impressive because it was using CDs. I believe in that. Using CDs, you'll get proper video cutscenes. It probably could help to produce better graphics as well. Yeah, that was still cartridges. But Panasonic M2, right, with proper video cutscenes, and these games will be pretty long because it was using CDs. They won't be short, they'll be pretty long, and they will be very impressive. Nintendo 64 couldn't achieve any of that. Then why be scared of that? Anyway, that was what was going on. They were afraid of Nintendo 64. I think it's pretty stupid. Because if you look, the launch stuff, what Panasonic M2 was going to bring out, it was far better than the N64 can ever imagine. Because Nintendo 64 was just based on Nintendo and Rare games and nothing else on there. It was just a terrible system. I don't know what they were thinking of. They should have challenged it, man. Proper hard. Shame they couldn't do that. Oh man, Panasonic should be wise on that. It's a big electronic company, man. Using a very impressive CD technology. Why do you need to think like that? Anyway, so let's continue in today's video. And I hope you guys will enjoy it. I don't think I saw much of this kind of videos on YouTube. I've never seen. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So, welcome to the world of Panasonic M2 64-bit games console. You're going to know everything about this system as we go through this video. So enjoy. Let's see what we make out of this, the Panasonic M2. Yeah. Right. A Panasonic M2, right? Okay. Alright. First of all, let me just... Right. Is a video games console, which we know of, okay? First we do not know what it is. Developed by 3DO, and then it was sold to Matsushita. Okay? Company known in Japan, brand Panasonic. It was an add-on console, alright? So this was an add-on console, right? Okay. Then later it was a standalone console. Later stages. You know, at start, it was a add-on console. Okay? And then later they decided to make it just a standalone console. But it still didn't release, did it? I just don't get that. Standalone console, okay? And the console was cancelled in year 1997. Oh no, that was bad. And the M2 technology was used for other devices. So what does that actually mean? You see, the original you see, it was an add-on for Panasonic 3DO. But then they changed the idea to release like a standalone console. Then it went for other devices. Meaning it wasn't a games console anymore. Oh gosh. Okay, development kits, right, of the machine became a good piece of hardware. Alright? And the M2 technology was used in the multimedia players. Okay? What kind of players are we doing there? FZ21S, and the other one was hold on, it was called and FZ35S. So you could search on that what that is, and it was released in 1998. Can you see that? It went for multimedia now. Oh man. Working in architecture and sales. Not for home users. Okay? And wasn't a much successful arcade board by Konami. It wasn't. So even Konami took as an arcade board, wasn't very successful in that way. Whoa, look how many rounds he went through. What kind of technology was this? It wasn't doing so well at all. Oh man, I wonder what was flipping going on. Goodness sake. The relationship, right? The PlayStation and Namco, right? System 11? Games run from CDs, right? RAM drive. It had long load times. So what I'm trying to say here, you see, this technology was running straight from CD-ROMs, right? From a drive. And it took very long loading times. It was no good. Okay? That's why it was quite unsuccessful. Now, in the late 1990s and from 2000, on the system was sold. Now you're gonna go berserk. Who is it sold to? In the interactive QSIC. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. QSIC. Kiosk. It's spelled like that, okay? Market. All of the software released for the M2 Q6, right, was development with, okay, with CD motion, okay, CD motion. So listen to that carefully. For the for M2/M2K software. That's what it was used for. Panasonic, let's go a bit more into the games consoles, I think. Panasonic M2 gamepad to have 6 buttons, right? And was like the standard Sega Saturn game controller. It was similar to that. I was thinking one thing, because like, the other thing was about, you see the whole layout, the D-pad, the 6 buttons, the shoulder buttons, yeah, as we look at the Sega Saturn, it was just like that. I would say the Sega Saturn was a good controller, and if it was using the same design concept as Sega Saturn, that's a good one actually. Because now, with Panasonic M2, the 64-bit games console, when it was going to be released as a standalone console, right, it's quite beautiful design. It actually looked like a Sega Saturn, you know. I actually like a Sega Saturn. I actually like the design of that. Guess what? Do you remember the original Panasonic video? There's only one port on there. This time, Panasonic M2 games console had 2 ports on there. So you don't need to use extensions like this. Like the original Panasonic video. No, you don't need to do that. It had 2 ports where you can, one port to the left, one port to the right. You connect 2 game controllers straight away. Very nice indeed. Well, it was nice, but the console didn't come out. Sorry about that. Right, this is pretty important. Capcom and Konami were to be M2 developers. Okay? Right. Now this gets a bit more interesting. Wow. What year are we in now? You know what we are? We're in 2020, aren't we? Check this out. In January 2020? What? Am I dreaming or something? I'm being honest. I'm talking about January 2020, right? A demo disc was released on YouTube channel and had 12 demos on it. From the development M2 and includes the playable of the M2 version of D2. D2. Do you remember this game? What console it appeared on? Now D2 came on Sega Dreamcast. Man, it was a terrible game. I wonder what would have done on Panasonic M2. Probably nothing different. Just the same crappy game like the Sega Dreamcast. It would have been something like that. Now we're going to talk about its games which were coming out. So Konami arcade games based on M2 hardware. Woohoo! Check it out. Okay, Top Polystars 1997. Okay, Total Vice 1997. Battle Trist 1998. So this is all the information I know of Panasonic 2 64-bit games console, which later was to be a standalone games console. It looked really beautiful. Okay, if I can find any photos or trailers, I will make another video on it. I know it's not gonna come out, but it's good to know what was going up with the upcoming games console. It's a shame that they were scared of the Nintendo 64. They shouldn't have, because they should understand what was going on. You know what the problem was with Panasonic 3DO? Let's get something straight here. We know that Nintendo 64 just about came in 1997. And Super Mario 64, a 3D platformer, became a very successful game. It doesn't matter about that. We actually don't know if Nintendo 64 would have failed. Panasonic should have saw both of them competing against each other. It probably did, but it quickly cancelled the Panasonic M2 was cancelled in 1997 really quickly. I think he should have watched the competition. He should have made the console and should have got it ready, but just to left it for himself. See how it was getting competing with each other. Because Panasonic needs to understand, when these two consoles were competing with each other, the Nintendo 64 was a failure anyway. And he should have figured it out. Why wasn't it successful? Because it wasn't a CD-based system. That's what it was. And the Panasonic M2 would have ran CDs. And why did Panasonic think about that? I know at the time he didn't look at that. He quickly cancelled it. You know what happened? He just looked at Nintendo 64. He goes, oh my god, it's a 64-bit games console. A cartridge system which doesn't have any loading times. And he got scared away. No. You should look at already, because Sony PlayStation was there. Look at what is Sony PlayStation versus Nintendo 64 competition, how it was working. They should have looked at it very carefully. And when they figured it out, the Nintendo 64 wasn't doing so well. It didn't do so well anyway. You see, I think it was the month of March or something. That's the time he released his console, sometime March 1997. You have to look at from there till maybe March 1998. See the 1 year how it went. The system got drained really fast. Yeah, it wasn't doing so well anyway. look how bad he was selling. Because, like, you know, when Sony PlayStation was keep on releasing its games, it was killing N64. Every flipping week, it was draining the system. Why wasn't Panasonic looking at that? That's really weird. Not even once. It did what? Only did once. When Super 64 came out with a 3D based platform, that's it. But people quickly understand it. A cartridge can't do much anyway. Which the stuff I already told you, I'm not going to keep on repeating them. They figured it out quickly. The cartridge is waste of time. In the times of 997. It was doing well. Every single month he's playing against PlayStation. And why wasn't Panasonic looking at that? For goodness sake! What was he doing? No! Panasonic, what's wrong with you? No! No! Oh man! Pure thumbs down! Oh, Panasonic's old damn stupid strategies that I couldn't understand. Because I know 3DO developed the M2 hardware. It doesn't matter if they developed it. But the main manufacturer, it was all up to Panasonic what to do with it. Because it was branded under Panasonic. You see, he was the main thing for the system, I would say. Because he manufactured it and he was the brand Panasonic. The name, what comes at the front, what does it come? Even the 3DO name wasn't in there. No. It was called Panasonic M2, a 64-bit games console. So it's all up to Panasonic, really, what to do. I think Panasonic should have been brighter than that. I'm very disappointed in Panasonic that he didn't challenge. He could have easily surpassed the PlayStation with that thing. The hardware was more powerful. We know it was ahead of its time and in its pricing, but still, Panasonic should have tried to do something. He didn't even release it. Come on, man. It was a CD-based system because loads of people, because like, there's 3 different platforms you could think. Sony PlayStation, which was a very half-edged system anyway. It would have lasted very long anyway. It was only because of PlayStation succeeded because of the CDs against the N64. And if Panasonic M2 came there, it would have been a different story. Believe me, both the Sony and Panasonic would wipe the floor of Nintendo 64. Because the Nintendo 64 making a system, a cartridge-based system, was completely wrong anyway. It wouldn't have succeeded anyway. So having Sony, Panasonic, what would happen there? Nintendo 64 would have been wiped out anyway. And then Sony and Panasonic would have compete against each other. It would have been like that. Yeah, the competition would be like that. Panasonic just, I can't believe it. It was doing that. It was a great system. We should have released it, man. Oh man, it was a shame. Very, very shame. Nintendo would have succeeded anyway. CD format was the way to go in 1997. Panasonic M2 64-bit standalone game console should have been released in 1998. They could release it in 1998. If it didn't want to release in March, it could release it a bit later. They could have released it. But the problem was arising even more, wasn't it? Sega Dreamcast was approaching in 1998. I don't think that would have affected it anyway. Nothing would have happened. Loads of people weren't interested in Sega Dreamcast because the marketing was bad on it anyway. Panasonic was a new vibe. And I reckon he could have got rid of, Panasonic M2 I'm talking about here. He could have got rid of Nintendo 64 and Sega Dreamcast together. Trust me, he could have got rid of it. The only thing that he had to defeat would have been the original PlayStation. If he had better sales on Sony PlayStation, you know what would happen after that? Then the Panasonic M2 would have went a head-to-head competition against what? Sony PlayStation 2. You know what? Because I really think Panasonic systems were picking up third-party developers fast. Just like Sony PlayStation, man. He did that on Sony Panasonic 3DO. He's picking up the software fast. Even, look at this, on the Panasonic M2, he would have picked up the developers fast. But he didn't believe in himself. You gotta believe in yourself, man. That you can do it. You just gotta know how to market the product. And keep the price minimum. Yeah? If you reckon the pricing wasn't right, then look at the system again. Right? You know what they could have done with the Panasonic M2? They could have think of redressing the issue and making the console into 128-bit. Right? And really, after 1998 and beyond, it would have been a great power, man. He could have made the system even more powerful. But with a minimum price tag. Okay? That's what you gotta think. You gotta think, what was the price tag of PlayStation 2? You have to play the game really fair. Panasonic doesn't look at the marketing properly, does he? It doesn't look at the technology, how it should be going with time to time. Yeah? You have to look at it time to time, and you have to look at the pricing tag. Yeah? He could have kept the M2 64-bit, right, for showing on shows for purposes. And then when the time was right, he could have released a 128-bit games console. He could have done that. You know what was going on? He was following the same trend as Panasonic 3DO. Ahead of its time and pricing. That's what was happening with Panasonic M2. He should have held on to the Panasonic M2. He could have been holding it for very long. He should have kept it, closed it into some kind of a cupboard. And when the time's right, he should have looked back into that technology. And he could have made it more powerful. Because the year of 1998 was approaching of 128-bit. Can you see what I'm on about? It was going towards there really anyway. Because Sega Dreamcast was 128-bit, wasn't it? So 1998 would have been the year of a 128-bit games console. And that's what Panasonic could have done. He could have had help of 3DO game and think of making the system more powerful and put some more money into it. Panasonic could have put some more money into the system. They shouldn't just let it go like that. That was completely stupid. They should have kept carrying on. No way the Nintendo 64 and Sega Dreamcast could ever beat it. The only competitor was Sony PlayStation, which was the original PlayStation. Then he had to go towards Sony PlayStation 2. He could have done that. Because if he had the momentum of powerful sales of the Sony PlayStation, you know Panasonic would have been the brand for games consoles as well. So then he could have went with Sony PlayStation 2. He wasn't thinking of the strategies. They weren't even working hard. All they just kept looking, oh, it's ahead of its time. The pricing. That's all they kept looking at. No. Think of your strategies. And look very carefully what you're doing. In future, if Panasonic decides to release a new games console, only time will tell. Look at it carefully, Panasonic. Look at how the whole competition runs. Don't just release things just like that. Because games consoles are different. You see, the customers, they think it differently. They look at the time and they release consoles. Now the time is releasing bloody NVIDIA GTX 1080 Ti's. Panasonic, think about that. They're releasing technologies which are similar to NVIDIA GTX Ti's. Okay? And you got to think of the PCs are running on the Super RTX 2080s. In terms of games consoles, it's going to be NVIDIA GTX 1080 Ti's. And in terms of PCs, it's going to be Super RTX 2080 Ti's. It's something like that. See, Panasonic understands the technology. See how it works. Get the timing right. Raise the right technology at the right time. And please get the pricing right. Don't do really high price tags. You know, in games consoles, high price tags never succeed. Because then end of the day, you know what people start thinking? They start thinking, if these games consoles are going to be expensive, then they're not going to buy games consoles. They're going to start buying gaming laptops and desktop PCs. Can you see? When the prices go high, it starts going towards gaming laptops and desktop PCs. 4K ones. It does that. The technology goes there. The games consoles got to be a minimum price. That is why people will buy games consoles if they are good price. So they need to have good hardware, good price. That's the way they will sell. If the hardware goes really high, then and the price tag goes really high, then I think it's going to go towards gaming laptops, desktop PC. It works like that. So please, anybody who's interested to develop and manufacture games console, even you Panasonic, get a good hardware. You can release good hardware now, okay, Panasonic, you can do that. And make sure you don't put a lot of expensive components in there. The minimum components you put in there, the lower the price is going to be in there. Yeah? Can you see what Sony PlayStation 5 has done and Microsoft Xbox Series X? I'll tell you something. Both of these consoles are going to sell worse than the previous generation console. The previous generation consoles are Sony PS4 Pro and Microsoft Xbox One. They're going to sell worse than them. Because, you know, these systems, they put good hardware in it, very expensive components, the price has rise too high. I think loads of people ain't going to buy them. Can you see what's going on there? They reckon they're going to sell, but they won't. Trust me. They're going to be really bad sellers. Okay? There will be another special video which I'm going to go through. I'm not going to say much in this video. So yeah, dude, Panasonic M2 was still a good 64-bit standalone games console. It's a great shame that the Panasonic couldn't understand the whole game. He could have made the Panasonic M2 a great success. But now Panasonic, you got another chance. You can release good hardware. Nobody can stop you now. Okay? You can release good hardware. You can release hardware on, NVIDIA GTX. 1070s, 1080s, yeah, stuff like that. But please put cheap components. Don't follow the footsteps of Sony PS5 and Microsoft Xbox Series X. Them two companies have done it all wrong. They use expensive components. And that's not the way to go. Sorry. It's not the way to go. Panasonic, don't follow that. If you follow what I just told you, put in big. But you need good components. And good components, but not very pricey ones. Your system will succeed. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video today. Give your likes, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.